without treatment, up to 20% of all people with eating disorders end up dying. Like, actually end up dead because of their eating disorder. Every 62 minutes, at least one person dies as a direct result of an eating disorder. Also, eating disorders have the highest death rate of any mental disorder. Do not let that be you. Do not be one of those 20% of people with an eating disorders who, because of this capitalist society of people wanting to sell us stuff, you know, in order for anybody to sell someone something, they need to feel like they're lacking in some way, that they need something outside of themselves. And society loves to make women feel like they need to be skinnier. The diet industry is so powerful. We've been programmed with so much marketing. And please, like, do not be one of those women or men, like, seriously, do not be one of those people who is just living their lives because of this diet culture marketing that we've been programmed with. This video is going to be all about body image, self-love, eating disorders. I'm interviewing an expert on the topic later on in this video, so please stay tuned, stick it through to the end. There's really good content here. I'm so excited. Let's go ahead and dive in. My roommate is getting married, and that calls for an engagement party, and an engagement party calls for a new outfit. Going shopping, it still triggers me a lot. Not fitting into certain sizes and trying on clothes is just really hard for me. It was crazy, this beautiful gold dress, and I like loved it so much. And I tried it on and I was like, oh my gosh, this is not at all gonna fit. Like, there's no way. And, you know, in the past, this would have really upset me. And thoughts of like, okay, cool, I'm just gonna buy it and lose weight. And it seems crazy now and I laugh at myself now, but I just wanted to share that story because I'm sure that there's people out there who also get really upset when they don't look good in a dress that looks so good on the hanger, or things don't fit the way that they used to. And I want you to know that you're not alone. It's really fun looking back and noticing how far I've come, and it's still a daily practice. It's still a daily thing that I need to remind myself, like, Katie, let it go that you have to be any other way than exactly as you are right now. Let that shit go. Katie, you are enough exactly as you are. And you out there, you are enough. Like, this is literally what I practice when those negative thoughts start to creep in of like, oh my gosh, Katie, please don't eat for a week so that you can fit into this dress. Like, Katie, no, get a size that fits you, and you know you are beautiful and enough right now. Give up those ideas of what you're supposed to look like or what size you're supposed to fit in. Oh, you want to beat them to the punch? I get it. If you already know you're not good enough, it won't be a surprise when they tell you, will it? F that, F that. F that. I have the power. I can take control of my focus, of my perception on myself, and I can decide to say, I am so much more than enough right now. And if I can decide, if I can choose my perspective and my perception of myself, why the would I choose a perception that says anything otherwise? Then I am absolutely incredible and so much more than enough. I'm going to choose to see that I am enough again and again and again and over and over and over. Sure, there's evidence that I'm not enough. Sure, there's evidence that I for sure am enough. And I get to choose which one wins. Thank you for these feelings. Thank you for these awful feelings of being so uncomfortable in my skin and feeling so about myself. Thank you for me not having a regular menstrual cycle for literally 8 years. Thank you because this has given me the tools to practice standing in my power, standing in my beauty, and working through it so that others can do the same. Hello everybody, this is the incredible Cara of Cara'S Kitchen. I'm so excited. Thank you for your time and for having me over.
No, I'm so excited to be here.
Cara is such a wonderful health coach and life coach. She really helps people break free from binge eating and improve people's relationship with food. Cara has an extremely thorough and helpful online course that includes weekly calls and a private Facebook group. And she is the genius behind the Love Your Bod Pod, which is a podcast I recommend everyone check out. Not to mention, she's the author of the book Body Wisdom. And wow, all of the Body Wisdom email newsletters that I get, they're so informative and incredible, and I get so much out of them. So I really recommend everybody check out her stuff. So amazing. Tell me about this story. What brought you to create Body Wisdom and this whole incredible platform?
Okay. Well, Body Wisdom, the book Body Wisdom, the idea for Body Wisdom came a couple of years after recovering from my eating disorder and my disordered relationship with food, and I kind of transitioned into the health and wellness world and started to share recipes, and I opened up a restaurant that was all about health, and I kept getting this question on Instagram and in the restaurant from like hundreds of people of like, what's the right way to eat? What's the right way for me to XYZ, whatever their goals were? And what I was able to discover from this question was that like it's individual for everybody, and that there isn't just one right way to eat, and there isn't just one right way to live, and there isn't just one right way to take care of your health. But I think that we're so used to looking outside of ourselves for answers. You know, we're so used to thinking that someone outside of us knows better than us. And it's possible that someone will be able to help support you and guide you and give you tools, but ultimately your body is the best consultant in the room, and you are the only person in your body. So Body Wisdom is about answering the question of like, what's the right way to eat? So that it's about empowering you so that you can become your own health expert, and that you can answer those questions for yourself, because they might change, right? Like what's really nourishing for you right now might not be what's really nourishing for you in a year. So
yeah. In a study that was published in 1939 in the Canadian Medical Association Journal, 15 kids were followed for 6 years, starting at 6 to 11 months of age, in an intuitive eating experiment where their caretakers were trained to provide them with a variety of wholesome foods and not to feed them unless they pointed at something, and not to force or praise them for specific foods eaten or not eaten. Kids who came into this experiment with anemia and rickets left the experiment having cured themselves of these conditions by intuitively eating foods to help, like liver and orange juice as a source of well-absorbed iron for anemia, and various combinations of foods to help with rickets.
But my ability to help people transform their relationships with food and break free from binge eating, so much of that just comes from personal experience and dealing with my own eating disorder for 10 years. And it's a result of like peeling off all of the layers of diet culture and all of these beliefs about ourself and our worth based on what our body looks like. Because often we struggle with food because we struggle with our body image. The two are almost always compounded and come together. So it's a combination of healing both.
In the course, like in the beginning of the course, it was really teaching about self-compassion. And even if you don't have self-love, like for yourself, just being compassionate with yourself, and like you said, having that acceptance of where we're at, that totally shifted my whole world. And I know you were telling me a story earlier of your experience learning about cellulite, and I'd love for you to share that with our viewers. That's okay.
Of course, yes. And before I dive into that, being your own friend is massive, right? Because like we'll treat ourselves in a way that we would like never treat a friend. We would say things to ourselves that we would never say to someone that we care about. And so cultivating that sense of friendliness for yourself and being your own friend is like foundational in like doing the work of healing. So yes, love that you brought that up. Now in terms of like the cellulite, oh my gosh, okay. Like discovering that like our society treats cellulite as this like bad, gross thing that we need to get away with removed from our body really deeply affected me. So I remember like seeing the covers of magazines that would like circle the parts of the women's bodies that had cellulite and like
and you
make
were in
fun
that
of them.
industry, right? You were working for magazines or something?
I worked in fashion.
Okay, you worked in fashion.
Yeah,
so
I was a
like
women's all in it, and like
That's crazy.
Yeah, deep in it, and like looking at magazines and trends and staying on top of fashion bloggers, like that was a huge component of my job. But not when I was 14, later in life. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like when I first discovered cellulite, like that our society thought it was gross, I was 14 years old, and it's what triggered me to start wanting to like reduce my carb intake and reduce my sugar intake and like do a bunch of like butt firming exercises at the gym, like whatever, all of the things. And I developed this belief that I wouldn't be lovable until I got rid of it, and that like I couldn't love myself or accept my body until I got rid of it. And that just grew and snowballed and evolved into a big, hairy, people-pleasing problem called an eating disorder, because I wanted to be nice to look at and all of those things. And I had the limiting belief that like, oh, I can't eat carbs, or I can't love my body, I can't be at peace at food if I have cellulite. And the joke's on me because I still have cellulite. And so I've just gotten to this place where like my love for myself, my care for myself, my sense of like I deserve to feed myself is not based on the condition that I have a cellulite-free body. I have a body that has cellulite, and my body's amazing, and I love my body, and I'm grateful for my body, and I'm allowed to eat. It's not a but, it's an and right? It's like,
yeah. Oh God, that's so awesome. And I'm sure so many people can relate to this idea of like whatever it is that's we're thinking, if we change this one part of ourselves, then we'll be worthy of love, and then we'll be worthy of acceptance, and ... When the reality is that nothing needs to change about us to experience these feelings of how we want to feel.
Yeah.
And what's possible for us to receive and give in this world does not depend on anything. Oh God,
Yeah.
That's so amazing.
It's just the belief. It's not that like you can't love yourself until you get rid of your cellulite. It's just the belief that you can't love yourself until you get rid of the cellulite. Well, if you just decide that you're worthy of love regardless, well then there's an access point there. Then it becomes possible.
Yeah, you're right. It really just is that belief. And that belief of that self-worth, not only is it going to inhibit your healing, but I'm so excited learning more about being able to, I'm all into these airy things of manifestation, and recently just discovering that, yeah, our self-worth really does depend on our ability to attract beautiful things into our life. Not only, yeah, of course, with healing, but I feel like when it comes to our career and our relationships and our dream home and whatever bigger picture we see for ourselves, I don't know how any of that could be possible if we're constantly talking down about ourselves and not lifting ourselves up. If we're constantly telling ourselves we're not good enough, and we're constantly, having these beliefs compact on themselves, then I don't think we'll get that far in life. Is there one particular thing that you find yourself repeating more often than something else?
It's fear around food, and it's fear around weight gain, and it's thinking about food all the time, like thinking about food more than we want to be thinking about food. So I think I do a lot of coaching around making peace with food, but a function of making peace with food is also making peace with our body, because so much of our fear around food relates back to our body. Now, often it's about gaining weight, and there's also more and more fears around like what's gonna happen if we eat foods that aren't like healthy enough. So it's shifting our perception of health, because if we only think that health is a function of like your physical body and vitamins and nutrients and food, well then like what role does birthday cake play in our life? Well, that's like mental and emotional health and community and connection. And that's important in food too, yeah? So I think it's broadening our perspective of like food and health, and also changing our perception of body size.
That's why I bring to my practice so much of what truly is the end goal, because I think that a lot of us have forgotten that our own happiness is the end goal. And of course, birthday cake and these things, like, are we going to suffer and be thinking about it the whole time that we're avoiding these things? Or can we truly understand that this life is about happiness and connection and community, and like have it be okay, and feel happy within ourselves about ourselves and everything that comes around everything you just said. And is there anything that you notice in your past that used to be really tough for you or used to really trigger you, that you've done workarounds that now you're like, oh, that actually, I'm actually okay now around this?
I mean, so many things. Oh my God, like where to begin? I think I've had all the common insecurities of like not being good enough, not being pretty enough, like fears around gaining weight, thinking that what mattered most was what I looked like. That was probably the most distracting, oppressive beliefs that I had, was that in order for me to have the life that I wanted, I had to look a certain way.
Yeah.
And so instead of me putting effort into creating the life I wanted, I put all of my time, money, and energy into shrinking my body, because I thought that that was the route to the life that I wanted. And now I've just decided, well, like, I'm not going to put the size of my body between me and the life that I want. I'm just going to go after the life that I want and let my body size be whatever the my body size is. You know?
Yeah.
And that was the biggest, that's the, you know, the biggest, one of the biggest challenges of my life was that, for sure. And it's why I do the work that I do now. And it's why I'm so passionate, you know?
So liberating. And I'm sure anyone can relate. Like, I don't care how thin you are or how big you are or whatever it is. Like, I feel like even me, like, 20 pounds lighter than I am now, like, I've never loved myself more than I do right now. Like, I still remember being so self-conscious.
Like, even being smaller.
You're right.
Yeah, body size is not a function.
In my head, yeah.
It's not a function of self-love and self-acceptance. We think it is. We think that, oh, I'll love myself when I'm thinner.
Not
and
the
then
case
you get
at
there
all, and you still feel insecure about yourself. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's a false sense of security.
Yeah, so you think
real.
that once you're thin, you're gonna be like, oh, but that's totally not, at least not for me.
It wasn't for me either, no.
Yeah, and I want to say too, like, for me at least, something that comes to mind is, you know, the weather's getting nicer out, and recently we had a little gathering at the beach, and for me, like, putting on a bathing suit is honestly super triggering for me. Like, it's just like, oh my God, people are gonna see my body. What are they gonna react to it? Like, it looks so different now, like, or whatever it is. And just like noticing those thoughts go off. And like, in the past, it used to be so hard for me, and I'd really be like, okay, like, this is happening, you know? And now I'm just like, whatever. Like, it's really gotten to the point where I was able to really fully, like, notice the thought, be like, okay, cool, what's the next thought gonna be? And like, just have fun and recognize that nobody cares whatever is going on. Like, nobody cares how you look in a bathing suit. They just want to be with you. You're just here to have fun. And yeah, I feel super liberated around that in particular. So I'm sure, I hope somebody can relate to that, and I hope that if there's anybody out there who has some triggering thing going on, whether it be you're, you know, trying on clothes and you're just like, what, this is this size and it still doesn't fit me, or anything like that, that this like collective has us believing that one way is better than another way. It's like, whatever, you know? And I really hope that you can take a deep breath and recognize that those are just thoughts, and we can react and we can have a perception around them that does empower us, and that there is a light, and it doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen in a few weeks. I think for me, it's been like years and years of like cultivating this love, and then finally one day I was like, wow, I actually feel really good right now, you know? And it doesn't, like, not depending on how I look or what I weigh or what size I am or whatever. It's like, that doesn't matter. Yeah.
And I think to get to that place, you have to discover that. Right? And you have to change those beliefs.
Yeah.
In order to get to that place, like, you have to decide that it's even possible for you to have this self-love and self-acceptance and feeling good mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, regardless of what you look like. I think you have to believe that that's possible. And obviously you've experienced that, right? And I think all of us can relate to the bathing suit thing. And you said something potent, right? You were like, the people around you, your friends and stuff, like, they're not friends with you because of what you look like. They're friends with you because they like who you are. And if someone has a negative judgment about you based on your body, right, that says a lot more about them than it does about you, right? Like, the only thing that you can actually tell by judging someone's body size are your judgments, right? And like, that's it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally, totally. It's so true. You're right. It says something about them and what their insecurities are and what's okay for them. Wow, wow, wow. And I like it how you said it's true. It's really our beliefs around it and that that's possible. And I remember speaking earlier, you were saying one of the most important actionable steps that we can do is to recognize, what were you saying about sitting on the fence?
Oh, yeah, okay. About choosing recovery or just the fencing?
Choosing recovery, because I think that's so huge. And that, at least for me, it's like I was never diagnosed with an eating disorder or anything like that. I've always really clearly been passionate about health, and you know, but it was never a thing that I needed to recover. I never had a thing. And you know, I think that it's just quite a journey to decide to look into that darkness and like knowing that this is an issue, and whether you decide to label it as an eating disorder or not, just knowing that there's this sadness that's coming up in your body and there's this unworthiness that you're feeling or whatever it is, that you can decide to fix it and dive into it and heal or not.
Yeah.
And I think that's where that comes into play.
Right. So like, I had said a comment when we were off camera of like, often we'll kind of straddle this line between like, okay, am I gonna work towards self-acceptance and self-love? Like, am I gonna work towards it? And maybe we work towards it for a little bit, but then we get scared or triggered, and so we go back to like disordered eating and controlling our food and trying to lose weight. And so I think it's really powerful for us to get to this place where we're like committed. Like, I am choosing, I am deciding to work towards and cultivate the self-acceptance and the self-love. Because otherwise you're just sitting on the fence. And the thing about sitting on the fence is the longer you sit there, the more your ass hurts. So it's like,
totally,
get off the fence and pick.
Yeah.
Pick, choose, decide, work towards.
Yeah. Seriously. I know.
Inaction is way more painful than
like
just
doing
like,
nothing is more painful.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
That just brought to my mind my idea is my story with my menstrual cycle, and my whole thing was that it wasn't my self-worth that I thought I needed to heal. It wasn't my, you know, thoughts about myself or anything like that. It was literally just my menstrual cycle. That's all I needed to do to be healthy. And once I allowed myself to eat more and whatever, I would gain some weight maybe, and I would get my menstrual cycle, I'd be like, okay, cool, now I'm gonna go back to
trying to lose weight, and
I'm gonna go back to running 3 times a day, and I'm gonna go back to doing all this stuff, and then I'd be like, damn it, it went away again. Like, what is that? So yeah, I was in this like just seesaw effect of like actually loving myself and yeah, for years. So that's really interesting.
Yeah, and I think it, like, disordered eating is a spectrum, right? And like, eating disorder diagnosis, you don't need to get one to be struggling with food, right? You don't need to get one to reach out for help, right? Like, there's no such thing as like not struggling enough to seek support and help. I never had an eating disorder diagnosis. I struggled to get one because I looked too healthy, right? So like,
yeah.
But I was throwing up food all the time. But oh, your vitals, like your health, your weight, right? And so it's like, wow, you don't have to have an eating disorder diagnosis to be struggling with disordered eating, right? It's such a spectrum. It's a grayscale. We're all over the place, you know, everybody's different. And
Totally. I created the Superhero Crew Facebook group, and I'm curious.
I love it. Superhuman Crew. I want to be a part of that.
Fun. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah. I would love to hear what ideas you have for actionable steps that people can take right now to make it simple and fun for people to improve their relationship with themselves and with food. What ideas come up? I love quotes. Like, you get me like a good quote that like inspires me or like provokes some type of new way of thinking, and I'm just like all over it. So I would say like maybe sharing your favorite quote, or like writing your favorite quote on a sticky note and putting it on your mirror and snapping a picture of it and sharing it within the Superhuman Crew group. Seriously, let's do that. Yeah, write your favorite quote or a new way of thinking. Let's all do that right now. Put that quote on your mirror, take a photo of it, and upload it in the Superhero Crew Facebook group, and like, let's share and get ideas from one another about all these uplifting quotes. I love that so much. Yeah, quotes are amazing. They can seriously change your headspace and just if you have that somewhere that you can see it, I think it's even more effective.
Yeah.
Cool.
Do you have a favorite quote?
Oh man, I have so many quotes. But one that I have on my computer, it's every cell in my body responds to every thought I think. And that just reminds me to speak kindly to myself about myself, and just noticing that when I'm having these downward thoughts of, not being good enough, or, you know, feeling like I need to work harder and be better, and instead of letting things just feel good in my body and letting things feel good, it just reminds me of that, and it's nice to have it on my computer. How about you?
Yeah. Well, I really love that, because your thoughts are going to affect your nervous system, right? Like if you're going to like have these fear-based anxious thoughts that activate your sympathetic nervous system, your body's not in a state of healing, right? But then if you have these peaceful, positive, uplifting thoughts, then you're activating the parasympathetic nervous system, and that's the nervous system in which your body can heal and repair, right?
And digest.
And digest.
Yeah, have all these hormones go into alignment, and have a healthy menstrual cycle, or whatever, men as well. It's very important.
Yeah.
So
huge. Love it.
Yeah.
Okay, one of my favorite quotes is by Naomi Wolf, and it's that a culture fixated on female thinness is not an obsession with female beauty, but female obedience. Dieting is the most potent political sedative in women's history. And I love it because of the context that it creates for why women feel unbelievable pressure to be thin and beautiful, you know? And I think it illustrates that women's beauty is so powerful that we had to turn it into a weapon to suppress women because it's so powerful. And now beauty is used as a weapon against women. And so I love that quote. It's so potent, you know?
Wow. Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. And just like embodying ourselves as we are is like, oh my gosh. I think that it was, I'm sure you speak about this as well, but on one of Brandy's lives. So Brandolyn Tebow, if you don't know about her, incredible woman.
Yes, amazing.
Just amazing. I remember her speaking of, you know, instead of getting angry at ourselves and at the scale and at whatever it is that is triggering us in the moment, that quote comes to my mind, like how awful, how that anger can be directed towards this collective conditioning of how a female body is supposed to look. Like, let's channel our anger and energy, our negative space that way towards that quote, instead of thinking that it's something wrong with us. You are here to be yourself. You are here to have fun, to play, to express, to fully express yourself and be yourself, so that others feel comfortable doing the same. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you got something out of this video, and be sure to click the link below to join the Superhero Crew Facebook group, where we hold each other accountable and get excited about sharing our actionable steps to make a difference. So please take a photo of that quote that you're putting on your mirror that is empowering for yourself. Tell us all in the Facebook group, what are you doing right now? Or leave it in the comments below, but I'd love to connect in the Facebook group with everybody. Please tell me what you're gonna do to come from a place of compassion and accept and fully freaking love yourself. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope to get in touch. Leave a comment down below, give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to this channel every single week, giving actionable steps to make the world a better place, starting with having compassion for ourselves, so that we get over ourselves and can start saving the world in other ways with the environment and whatever it is that you're personally passionate about. Please do hit the little bell so you get notified for all of my future videos. Hit me up on Instagram at vitamin.katie, and know you are so amazing, okay? You're doing great in this crazy thing called life. Like, really take a deep breath. Everything is all right. So much love to you. Have a wonderful, beautiful, incredible life. Bye.